Pulse of Polynesia in the hot seat, where Pacific voices are amplified, our stories are celebrated, and our cultures are kept alive for the world to hear. I am your host, Leaso Filoyali'i, coming to you live from Texas. And joining me tonight is my co host, Chief Tasi Ayafe, all the way from Oklahoma. Tonight, we are honored to go live across oceans, straight from the beautiful islands of Fiji, with a man whose voice, lens, and energy have captured the spirit of the Pacific. He's a professional photographer who frees moments you'll never forget, a voiceover artist whose tone commands attention, an MC and host who can light up any crowd, and a proud Fijian storyteller who carries his culture everywhere he goes. You've probably seen his stunning work, heard his smooth voice, or felt the energy of his events. But tonight, you get to know the man behind it all. Bula Vinaka to our brother deep in the South Pacific of Fiji. Welcome, Masada Vuikadavu.
Bula
Peace,
Vinaka.
bula
Welcome.
bula bula, bula bula, guys.
Yay.
Oh, man, that's quite a mouthful. I mean, you're gonna too much, man. Oh,
Brother Masada, we're grateful for you to accept the invitation to join us. And I know you've had your
thank
hands
you.
full this week. We just had the tsunami issue going across the Pacific. So grateful that everyone is safe across the Pacifica. And like we said, grateful for this opportunity to have you share your story with us. So let's get right into it. So walk
All
us
right.
through, for those meeting you for the first time, who is Masada Vuikandavu? And then when the cameras and microphones are off, tell us about yourself.
Oh wow. Uh, I think first I would always introduce myself as Masada, but I know it's hard for some people to say my name. Some of them say Madagascar, Malasadas. So I just say, just call me M. Yeah, just call me M. Simple. If I would describe myself, basically, I'm a father of four children,
Mm.
and I also am a freelancer, and I utilize the talent that God has given me in order to bless other people's lives. So that's where I get the kick, using my talents to provide solutions for people.
Yay.
So,
Yeah.
so walk us back to your childhood in Fiji. What were the earliest memories of your creativity and self expression?
Oh, creativity. uh, I think this question always comes up in regards to the voiceover. For me, the first time I knew I could do voiceovers was when I was young. My mom took me out of school to look after my three siblings, my younger siblings. I come
Mm,
from a family of six. I have two older brothers, Aisake and Rabidi. Rabidi is in Hawaii. Aisake is in Utah. And then my younger siblings are Lokahi, who was born in Hawaii, and Hau'oli Uilani, and there's Hanakili, also known as Ace. So I would look after them. But back in the day, we didn't have a TV. We didn't
mm,
have any form of entertainment. So I would create puppets with my hand,
Uh,
put the mattress there, and then do the
right.
puppets. That's yeah, just entertainment. Yeah. So and I think that's where the voiceover started coming through without even knowing it. Yeah.
No, I
That's
like
for
that.
me was the
It
first thing.
reminds me of Sesame Street. It's a good way to educate them at a very
Bert,
young
hey
age.
Bert.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah,
the
choose one,
memories
man.
I have.
Well, first of
Oh
all, I just want to remind everyone out there who's listening and is going to be tuning in. Masada is actually in Fiji, and so he was going to be doing this segment on the beach. But
yeah,
unfortunately,
man.
the Wi-Fi internet was not working. So, but at least we got him. At least we got him on our live right now. So that's all that matters. So thank you again, Masada, for being on.
Thank you. You're welcome, Les.
So you come from a family of four, six, you said six. And
That's correct.
so being around a lot of your siblings and helping out with entertaining the siblings at the same time. Tell me
Mm,
what stood out to you the most as you're growing up around your siblings and in a culture that's very rich and beautiful.
mm. think the one thing that always stands out for my siblings is just this unity that we have, the ability to listen to our older siblings. There's a respect that I know that me and my siblings have for each other, and there's a love that we have for each other. I'm the only one here in Fiji at the moment. Ace or Hanakili is in England with her husband, and the rest live up in the States. So the time that I even get to even talk to them as a group, it brings back those memories. And for those who know our family, we were brought up in a very strict way,
Mm.
in love. Yeah, my parents raised us up in a strict Fijian uh, custom, I would say. And by going through that, it actually builds bonds within families.
Yeah.
You build a bond together as a family when you go through hardships. Eh? And as I think about it, the hardships are beautiful. Sometimes we think of it as hardships at that moment, but then later on in the future, you look back and you realize, wow, that that's where we actually learned something.
Mm-hmm.
That's where bonds, grow.
Mhm.
And I can say that I'm grateful for my parents. That despite the times I may have had differences with them, I've come to realize that I'll always be grateful for what they taught me,
Mm.
because these things that I've learned, the basis of it was in the home, and then as we go out, we get to learn more from other people. So I
Yeah.
attribute manners, as in that movie, "Manners Maketh a Man," which is so
Mhm.
true, and which I
Yeah.
think at this moment in the world we're kind of lacking at the moment.
Mhm.
So yeah, truly grateful for that. My parents, the hardships that we went through, also forged the deep bonds that I have with my siblings.
Thank you for sharing that.
And
Um,
thank
you
you.
know, I come from a family of eight, and so with six siblings, I totally understand with the discipline, of course, out of love, and it does definitely build a bond, especially with cousins, right? Where you all grow up with each other. Tell me, how was it growing up in Fiji with the culture and the environment? How was it for you as a child growing up? Especially, how we're
Oh,
for
great.
Samoa, and so
Yeah.
I'm sure everybody is somewhat alike. But tell me your
Yes.
perspective of your childhood growing up
My
in the
preference.
island of Fiji. Yeah.
Okay. I'll be honest. I think this podcast is good because it brings out the honesty. In my family, I am the black sheep in my family, and so as time has gone on, I've come to realize what culture what culture means. For me, culture was always a vehicle, and not only that, the manner in which one needs to be in order to ensure that one lives in a society where we think of each other rather than just ourselves. And so, growing up, it was quite difficult for me. I'm not really a rigid person. I do respect rules. I do respect honor, but at the same time, I'm also open to people expressing themselves. And I
Mm-hmm.
realize with culture that sometimes we put so much emphasis on culture that we tend to forget about people. It's everything that we do should be about people. Uh, our respect should not be above that of the welfare of another person.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one thing that I've always kept in mind, I've shared with a few close friends of mine. In Fiji, when we refer to chiefs, we say turanga. Uh, my father is of chiefly lineage, and that's the word that they would describe is turanga. But that's the same term that we also give to our Savior, the Lord Jesus
Mm-hmm.
Christ. And at times, I think we tend to forget that the turanga or the chief is a position of service, not to be served, but as a position of service, just as the Savior was. And I think these are parts of culture that I feel with the advent of Christianity and the truth and the light that we should tend to understand and see that culture is a vehicle in which all these lessons are part of going through the ages, and it changes. Culture changes, you
Mm-hmm.
know, but it's respect. It's the teachings that will still be in it. So I would say I'm from Fiji. Um, I would also say that I do understand the Fijian culture and the customs, but I choose to live in a way in which I am more of a global person and the
Mm-hmm.
person that's drawing closer to God. Because where we start, it's not about where we start, it's about where we end.
Right.
I can start born in Samoa, born in Tonga, or in Europe or Fiji. But at the end of the day, it's who we become at the end, right before we're about to take our last breath. It's the
Right.
character that we build, the people that we become. And that, I believe, is what Christ is teaching us, that we come out of these beautiful cultures to the point that we become just children of God, straight out in how we look at each other and how we treat each other.
That is
I love
beautiful. Hmm.
what you just said there
Yeah.
because it's something that applies across all the Pacific. And you mentioned the role of the chief, to serve, right? Rather than the thinking of the concept, serve me, right? I'm chief now, you serve me. So I too hold a chief title in our culture, and what you hit upon is exactly right. And you're constantly thinking of how to serve your family, and that's one thing that I kept to heart was what is the best way I can use my education, my experiences, everything that I've learned throughout the years in this, civilian world or the American world that can apply to our Samoan culture. And how do you make that blend? Sort of like what you touched upon, like living, you know, you still respect the culture, but then you're also
Yeah.
comparing it our way. I'm living the American way for the majority of the time, but then also trying to find that fine line as a chief in the Samoan culture. And we get criticized a lot, but then that's why
Mm.
we take these positions. It's not meant to be easy, right? Leadership roles are someone that can resolve. But then I want to bring back what you were mentioned earlier, the Christianity part, which is very dear to the Samoan people,
Hmm.
and never forget bringing that Christian role or that spiritual role in your life, and especially when you're leading your family, because without God, where are we? So I like how you mentioned bringing that element in spiritually, because the families always look into it. You can't be chief, and culture, but where's God? Similar to like
Yeah.
what we do earlier, like we do our prayer on the side. So for most people who are tuning in, I know a lot of the people in the Pacific are probably looking and say, why didn't you start with prayer? But that's something that meant a lot to us was we do our prayer before our segment starts, and we do it behind the scenes because we still acknowledge God, to lead us through these podcasts. So I like that you brought that up. And
Yeah.
hopefully I didn't deviate too much before we go to our next question. But quickly, Lasso, if it's okay, do we have any
Sure.
comments out there before I go to our next question?
Sure. Oh, here we go.
Okay, so Masada, we have an active viewer, so you'll see comments coming as well. So here we have
Oh,
from
okay.
Oklahoma, Janet. Good evening, Masada and Pulse of Polynesia family. So good
Good evening,
evening as
Janet.
well. Okay, so leading to our next question, and it seems like it's similar to where you left off. Your biggest inspiration to you in your creative world, what inspires you the most, or what was the biggest inspiration that leads into this?
All right. My biggest inspiration. There was this. There was this gentleman. Um, he saw something that I didn't see in myself. I grew up in a culture where when you start to do something out of the ordinary,
Mm,
you get pulled down for it. Yeah, just those tiny quips. You know how it is. And then so growing up, um, I'm not sure, but I think this is prevalent with Fijians, us Fijians. Like when you tell someone, "Oh, you did a great job," they're, "Oh no, 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 I didn't do.
Oh,
I didn't know." So this is where my voiceover journey started. First and foremost, I'd like to thank this one gentleman. He's my naita. His name is Apitor. He's still in Hawaii, very prominent with his work at the Polynesian Culture Center.
Mm.
mm,
They were still designing the new show. This is when it was still Horizons, where the sea
Oh.
meets the sky,
okay.
and they
Yeah.
were sitting in to do this new show. And I think they needed someone to read the script for Fiji. I wasn't there. I was in Hawaii as a visitor, and I was hanging out in the dorms. And so he gives a call to the guys in the dorms. And the guys, "Hey, manindia or manager calling." Oh, so I picked up the phone. Iyo, bula. This is Apitor. Oh, you free? Say, yo, you can come and read a script. I said, okay. And then because like budget wise and stuff, I said, "Hey, any food there?" I said, "Here, here." Okay, so I'm coming. So I went over to the meeting. The whole team, production team at when it was still being created,
Horizon. Yeah.
sitting in a circle. Yeah, all of them, look around, they all their titles. I was just a visitor. So I
Huh.
was given the Fijian script and I sat there and they started reading. And it came to my turn. I saw the script, and for me, words, if the scripts are good, they come to life. I
Mm.
feel it.
Mm,
And then I just let the voice speak. And I read it and I looked around, everyone was quiet.
mm.
And so I was like, oh, I think I must have done something wrong. Right in the moment, time for refreshment, I stood up, went, took my chow, went to the back. There was this back steps, and then sat there and was eating. And then the manager called me, "Hey, what you doing here? The the director's looking for you." I was like, "Oh, snaps, man! I think I must have screwed this thing up." So I went over, and the director turned to me and he said, "Do you know you have a gift?" And I said, "No, you have a gift.
Mm.
Mm.
If you ever make it to the U.S., come and come and see me." Yeah, that man is the man I attribute a lot of what I have been now. His name is David Warner,
David Warner.
and David Warner. He was the director of the show Ha, The Breath of
Okay.
Life. So it was through him that what I do now is I look around for talents and I see
Mm-hmm.
them and I try and tell them like, you've got something. And I try and link them up with people that I know that can actually help them grow. And I know in Fiji, like, because most of my performances were up in the States. I think for most gang in Fiji, and they see me, they don't. For the young gang, they're like, "Who's this guy? Like, doesn't know much." So yeah, I know a little bit
Mm.
to but EO. So I attribute most of my creativity to this man, David Warner, who also gave me the opportunity to. We were in Salt Lake City. He told me, "I feel that you need to write the draft script." I said, "Draft script for Ha, The Breath of Life." I was like,
Mm.
"What? Isn't that your job?" I say, "No, but I feel." And so I worked as a dancer as well at the Polynesian Culture Center. So
Mhm.
when I was dancing, even before Ha happened, I was always like, why can't we have, as people go through the villages in the day, the separate villages, when they come to the night show, it's just all of us together, our
Together,
gift to the
yeah.
world.
Yeah.
Yes, rather than, Hamata, Tofisa, everyone individuals.
Yep.
And so I sat down in that office, and for 3 hours straight, I poured my mind into writing and everything that I felt as a dancer. And I put it was all over the place. But I think the layout was such that there was supposed to be this one person that unites all of Polynesia, that goes through all the different islands with their beautiful
Mm.
attributes. And this is our message to the world. Eh? And that one name was Mana, because that's a name synonymous with all of Polynesia and
Right.
Melanesia, Micronesia. Yeah, so that was the draft direction. And I gave it to him. And through that, I was quite fortunate to be part of that starting team
Yeah.
to start with Ha, the Breath of Life. But from a guy, I had no experience writing or anything. It was all just feeling. And for a person like him to recognize that meant a lot. And that gave me um, the purpose as well in my life to to help others. When I have something, I will help. I will go out
Yeah.
and help. And the beautiful thing about that is it's actually transferred to my photography. And there's a special person here in Fiji that I attribute a lot of what I've learned. There are a few of them. But first and foremost, his name is Rob Rickman here in Fiji. And then there's Alan Steven. Uh,
Mm.
Alan knows this story very well. And then there's Bruce Southwick.
Mm.
These are some of the great names here in Fiji who've shared their talents. And also a former companion of mine on the mission, Stuart Johnson and his wife Malia, amazing wedding photographers. So that happened because of one person, David Warner, and what I've learned from him. So
Well,
I hope that
You
wasn't
mentioned
too
a
long.
name before, David. Um, how do you spell it? Is it Apitora?
Yes, Apitor. Yes, Apitore.
Was that
Yeah.
like another fellow student that was in BYU?
He is, I think when he was a student, I was still a baby. So
Oh, I
one
see.
of those pioneers, eh? Yeah.
mm.
Apitor, if you see the Fijian mekes and dances
Uh,
in Hawaii, that's the man behind those
oh,
performances.
nice.
Yeah.
That's
Mm.
good to hear all the things that go behind PCC that you just mentioned that we're not aware of, and just great to hear that you were part of that hostel. I remember when they first introduced it and seeing it for the
Yeah.
first time. Yeah, and just to make that connection with you, and the story seems complete now. Did you
Mhm.
know a gentleman named Tipa Ngaleai?
Tipa, man. Oh, yeah. Man. I think he passed on a few
Yeah,
years earlier, was he?
yeah,
Yeah.
passed
Oh.
away a
I
few.
remember Tipa when I was a kid. My dad was in BYU, Hawaii back in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I still remember Tipa then as a performer. And then when I attended BYU, Hawaii, he was heading the canoe boys and
Mm.
stuff. Yeah, and the guides. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Tipa, legends of the place. Yeah. It was interesting that you mentioned something. You mentioned something earlier about yourself as your lineage as a Matai, of how criticism,
Mm.
Ha, the breath of life, when you first saw him, it got its share of criticism. And people were saying, oh, this is like the Lion King.
Mm.
And when I heard that, my older brother was in Hawaii, and he, he came and talked to me about it. And I said, you know what? Isn't it beautiful? It's like, why? Because the same storyline that runs in Africa runs in the Pacific. It is a storyline that's weaved through all parts of the planet. We may say it in different, project in different ways. And I think it also came across as like a Disney-ish kind of style. But personally, I know I might get a lot of criticism on this, but personally, I feel that sometimes our culture might not be clear with other cultures when they view it. And sometimes we may have to package it in a way that they understand to bridge that understanding, but at the same time, still maintaining what it is.
Right.
Because as I said earlier, culture changes through time. There are
Mm-hmm.
certain traditions that we do now that our ancestors didn't follow because they followed those before
100%
them.
agree on that one.
Yeah, yeah. So, for example, in Fijian custom, in some of the rites, we use kerosene. Like,
Mm.
dang, like kerosene, yeah. But kerosene is not from Fiji, so I believe my ancestors used something else. And as long as we understand that culture changes through time, it evolves, but still keeping these gems
Hmm.
within them, I think we'll be fine. Yeah, we won't be lost in the drama. Yeah,
Right. Go ahead, Elsa.
I have to ask you, you had mentioned that your father or your family was up at BYU in the 80s.
that's correct. Yes,
Remind me, was it were you guys at the TVA apartments?
we're at TVA. Yep, yep.
Oh my God.
N260.
Okay. What building were you guys living at that time?
Uh, if I'm correct, N260.
Oh my
And
gosh. We were there
okay,
in the 80s N building.
yep,
No,
yep.
no, the P building. That was when the playground
Okay,
was right by the P
yeah,
building, and then
right.
they had the gates around that area, but there's no chapel around there. That is crazy.
Yep, no.
Yeah.
Small world.
Wow.
So we were in the same line with man, I see his name. Uh, Uncle. Oh, he passed away. He was doing the luau's for a long time. His daughter was also in the soccer team, the U.S. soccer team.
Oh wow.
I think those who know will know. Yeah, yeah,
Wow.
N260.
Small
Yeah.
world because so I grew up in Laie and Hauula, and we lived at the TVA at that time at the P building because my dad was going to school there. Anyways, just so
Oh,
that I don't take the attention away. Tell me
no, that's
about your
cool,
child.
man.
I'm always gonna go back to like the childhood part of your life
Yeah.
because that plays a big part of your upbringing, right? So, tell me like what's a struggle you faced early in life that people might not expect, and how did it shape the way you are today? As we look back to our
Struggle,
childhood and our upbringing.
man. I think I'm not sure. If any creative person is out there. For me, was probably following instruction. I
Mm.
think that was my big challenge. Always questioning, like why this way?
Mm.
To the point, like my brothers knew when we had the family meeting, if they needed anything mentioned, they would tell me. So I bring it up, and if it's not good, I get in trouble, kind of thing. Yeah. Uh, I think just also when you are a person that lives out of the box,
Yeah.
you don't find that you belong anywhere. I felt that way growing up. Yeah, I
Yeah.
didn't know if I belonged anywhere. And so, excuse me, I would try and understand whichever environment I'm in and try my best to survive by going with the status quo. And so that became that, you go into this environment, you try and live to survive and be that, but then that's not who you truly are.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But one thing I've learned is because of that experience I've had in my life and all these different experiences, different places, I've come to understand people a lot more, much better. Yeah. It's not that they're wrong or right. It's just that's the way they think, that's the way they see things.
Yeah.
And so now in my work, where I not only take pictures, I also speak on behalf of other people as an MC, it helps me because now when I see some person and the way that they react to something I say, and then when I get to meet them, and then I understand where they're coming from, it's like, oh yeah,
Hmm.
I understand you, and I would word it this way for you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think for those listening, if you feel that you don't belong wherever you are at the moment, don't fret. Enjoy the moment there, enjoy that experience. There'll come a time you'll know where you belong, and then you'll be able to stand and speak on behalf of those who might not be able to have the voice to speak for their, yeah, for the places where they like to share it. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. Thank you for sharing that. That's so important. Um, Now, Masada, take me back to how it started for you. You mentioned photography. I grew up where in an era
Oh,
where we had to buy those portable ones,
film.
and then
Yeah.
you take it out, you go take it to get printed and pray that nobody else takes your or messes up your film.
that at
So
one
how did
point?
that start for you?
Okay, photography. This is a funny thing because it was more for my dad. My
Mm,
dad, we call him Ratu in our language. Eh? He had a Minolta. And all this time, I
Mm.
thought that was my dad's camera. In fact, that was my mom's camera. My mom bought the camera, the Minolta, and my dad made use of it.
Oh.
But the interesting thing is this: it was my grandfather, my father's father, who was a photographer.
Mhm.
I'm not sure if you've heard of the Lapita pottery in Fiji.
Mm.
The Lapita pottery, the Lapita people, the movement.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So in Fiji, I live I live in Singatoka near the Singatoka sand dunes.
Mm.
Okay.
I had the pleasure of taking pictures of the Samoa rugby team when they came over to the sand dunes to train. And the Lapita pottery shard was found here by my grandfather.
Wow.
He was working for this archaeologist and he found the first shard. And this archaeologist was the one who taught him how to take pictures. But I love my dad. I love his pictures that capture the moments. But the creative part of photography, that I saw from my older brother. His name is Aisake.
Mm.
He's known as Dexter in our alma mater. He lives up in
Mhm.
Utah. He was taking pictures and I saw it and I loved the perspective. I loved the art, the artistic eye that he had. So I had photography as a hobby, loving the art of it. But I became a professional photographer here in Fiji in 2013
Mm.
after working in television and became a wedding photographer. And I learned from Beta, who is a friend of mine, and his name is Alan Steven with a PH. I think he's got a bit of Samoan as well in him. So he taught me the ropes here, and that's how I started doing photography. But that was wedding photography for 3 years,
Mm.
straight wedding photographies. So that's how photography came into the picture. It's not. It's not really. It's a talent. It's an
Yeah.
added skill. But what I do use it for is I use it to help other people to resolve problems. The reason I
Really.
say that is because 3 months when I started as a wedding photographer, I told the HR that I wanted to change my job. I wanted something else. And she told me, no, you're good at this. I was like, what? No, I make it. I make it work, but it's not what I really want to do. Unfortunately, I didn't have a say, so I stayed the next 3 years being the photographer and getting all the experience that I needed that has now carried on into what I do now. So, yeah, that's a little bit about the photography.
Wow.
Yeah, I like it because I used to do a lot of photography on the side too, and
Mm.
I'll probably ask you on the side. I don't want to take up our segment, but uh, and share this funny story. How I started getting into photography. I always bought um, the Sony brand, so I'm a big fan of the
Okay.
Sony
All
DSLRs,
right.
and I had I think it was a Sony Alpha 55. It was a decent camera back in 2012 timeframe, and my daughter was probably, I forget what age she was, very young age, but I always like to document my daughter's photos.
Mm.
And we're at Waikiki, and I want to get close up of my daughter, and my wife said, "You're gonna mess up that camera," and I'm like, "I won't. Like, trust me, I'm just gonna be in the shallows." And I get a little bit closer, and the smallest wave of all things barely brushed on my leg, and it was like a tiny splash got on the camera, and I was like, and it died right there.
Oh,
And of course, my wife's looking at me. Didn't I tell you not to get it? But just kind of like, thinking about your path and like someone walking you through the ropes. I mean, there's a lot of challenges in there, just learning the apertures,
mm.
light settings, different lenses, and so forth. But no, I like your story of how you got introduced by someone, but not only that, someone to walk you through, you know, those because you have to go through a whole
Yeah,
course if you really want to be a professional. But it seems like you've mastered
that's
that at a
true.
very young
Yeah.
age. Yeah.
Still learning, still learning. Like you mentioned, yeah, right now I focus a lot on family. Um, the reason I went into families, I love families, and
Mhm.
I always saw when I was at the resort, dad taking the picture, mom taking the picture, and everyone's there except that one
Mm.
person. So I was like, hey, why don't I
Mm.
take that picture for you
Yeah.
so that you all are in it? But the other
Mm.
part too is I do take the poses, but I also let you just flow. And
Yeah.
so for my family shoots, it's just an hour family shoot. But I've invested in boom boxes, boombox one, and what I do is I've always believed that you have to set the environment for the
Mm.
smiles to come out. I never tell my guests to smile.
Mm.
No, I create the
Really?
environment where they're smiling,
Yeah.
and I capture that
I like that.
because people think it's a picture, but it's not a picture.
Mm.
We capture energy. When that picture is captured at that moment, when it's printed and they look at it, they can feel it. They
Right.
feel it.
Yeah.
Even people who aren't even there, they can feel it. It's like, how do you get that? It's like, so create the moment, create the environment, and that's a power of energy. Yeah. So as a photographer, yeah, we just don't just click. We try and capture the moments. And when people
Exactly.
look back, yeah, they'll say, man, I remember this. Yeah.
No, those are the
Yeah.
most powerful photos. I agree. I mean, I think I've noticed that just by over the years going through my own photos. The ones that are
Mm,
staged, you're exactly right. You don't
mm,
really feel it because you can
yeah.
tell they're acting, and it's
Yep.
not a
Yeah.
natural interest because it's forced. But if you let them just do things and you're just like behind the scenes and you capture that,
Yeah.
like someone smile,
Oh,
just they're
yeah.
in their moment, and you can actually feel that. Like it brings it to life.
Yeah.
I like how you mentioned that. Um, but then also there's like you probably have like 1,000 photos that don't make the final cut, but there's one that you choose out
Yeah.
of. You're like what's it, National Geography, National Geographic.
Yeah.
What?
I try and put all the ones, all the ones, yeah, yeah. Because I mean, those are not mine. You know what I mean? Like, I know there are other photographers who are like, "Oh, we'll just choose this much. You have that." But for me, it's like, nah. You paid for me to capture your moments. I'll give it to you, even if it's 100. I'll give it to you.
Hmm.
It doesn't belong to me. Yeah, I'm just grateful that you asked me to capture it. Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to ask the question about how do you set the tone, but then you've already mentioned about how you set the tone for before you take those pictures. Um,
Yeah.
but you had a very busy, eventful week. I mean,
Oh,
every week, every
yeah.
day for you is so busy.
Yeah.
How is your day set out each day for you, and throughout the weeks that you have prepared for work, with your photo shoot, with your voiceover, and everything that you do, and also being a father at the same time. So, how is that? Like, how does that work for you?
So I've actually kind of shifted a bit. Normally, I would sleep early at 7:30 at night. Sometimes I sleep before the kids are asleep, but then I wake up
Mm.
at like 12:30 or 1 in the
Yeah.
morning, and then I would start my editing. And because of the time difference for some of the clients, that's when I start, yeah, replying to emails in the morning. Then get in the morning if I'm feeling it, I would do the kids' breakfast. But my kids, they kind of don't want to have breakfast in the morning. So I'm like, wow,
How old are
that's
your
pretty
kids?
cool. So I have four. My eldest is my son Alejandro. Alejandro
Mhm.
is 16, and then I have
Yay.
Kililani, also known as Nala. She's turning 15 in September, and then I have Talia. She's 9, and yeah, and then I have Adira who is 7, just turned 7.
Oh,
Yeah. So around about 6, I need to get them up, get them going. They have their chores. They have their different stations outside of the house that they need to clean up. Yeah,
mhm.
and then they come back in, get ready, and then we head over. And then I take my missus all the way to Nandi after I drop the kids off in Singatoka. So when I get to Nandi, I drop her off at work. Nandi is about an hour drive, depending
Mm.
on their speed. And then I'm on the computer editing or answering
Yeah.
emails, working in the car. So yeah,
Or at the beach.
yeah. Or at the beach. Yeah, yeah. And if I have a photo shoot, uh, that comes into play like around 9 o'clock. But sometimes the brave ones go for the early morning, like 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
So the kids have to go by themselves to school. They have a bus card that they use. Yeah, it's basically teaching them to be independent as well. Huh?
Yes, yes. Wow. So very eventful. And I take it you're the type of person that's a go-getter. You want to make sure that your
Oh,
day is scheduled
yeah.
out and planned and prepared. So that's a good thing.
Yes, and sometimes things pop up last minute as well too. So
Yes.
I just have to be ready for that. Yeah, but
Right.
like because I love the art of photography, I love helping people. Sometimes I kind of wonder if I'm cheating because it doesn't seem like work. Eh?
Because you're
Yeah,
enjoying it
it
too
Yeah,
much.
yeah,
you're
you're really
also
enjoying it. Yeah, I just don't enjoy the culling, the picking the pictures.
Oh, yes, the
That
editing
yeah.
part, right?
Oh man. Yeah, and the editing part is nice, but yeah, it's just the picking, like
Hmm.
selecting which ones to go. Yeah.
So I have to ask you another question in regards to your photo
Yeah.
shoots, right? Is there a one particular picture that you wish for the whole world to see and why?
Wow, man, that's a that's an interesting one. I've never. I'm not sure if you've noticed, but my social media isn't really up to date. The reason being, I used to post before, but then I started getting clients who are very private,
mm,
and then it just started connecting from there. They introduced me to more private clients, and it came to a point that I realized that these moments are not for the world to see.
right.
It's for me to
Mm,
capture, but it is for them. And it
mm,
is in a way sacred. Like these are moments that even they don't even show themselves to other
Mm,
people,
I like that.
and I'm grateful for that because
yeah.
I'm able to have them show themselves to me, and
Mm,
I don't find it right for me to take that and say, "Hey, look, I did this,"
Mm,
and I
yeah.
no. But if they, I always tell them, if you'd like me to showcase any picture that you have, I would gladly do it. But as I do
Yeah.
it, it's more of a story behind it, or why that picture means something.
Mm,
So to answer your question, that question is an ongoing answer. Like there might be one I had, one I have, one that I will have, and it will always change. Uh, but I think the pictures that mean the most to me, I think for me are of my family. Yeah, yeah.
mm,
And especially the ones that I'm in it. Yeah,
yeah.
because I hardly get,
Yeah.
I take pictures of memories. I capture everyone's memories, but I never have mine. And I think I treasure the ones that I have with with my family. Yeah, that means a lot more.
yeah, I
Beautifully
like what you
said.
mentioned
Yeah.
earlier about it's good to hear that people are preserving those intimate moments for
Yeah.
themselves because we live in a digital age where there's
Mm.
just a need to share everything in our lives.
Yeah.
And to hear that this was meant for my family, let's leave it alone. But I want to just follow up on that, something that just caught my mind when I used to work in one of my jobs way, way back then. I used to work at Walgreens and developing photos. But one of the things that
Oh,
we had
cool.
to protect was the copyright. So even if the image was
Yeah.
100 years old, you flip that photo around, there's going to be like a copyright in the back. Do you copyright your work so that way, even though it's sold to this family, that they won't like replicate it? Because you still want them to pay you, right?
Uh, Automatically by law that whoever takes a picture owns the copyright,
Hmm.
so I don't really have to worry about that.
Okay.
Um, I'm not I'm not uncomfortable with
Mm,
people if I'm commissioned to do it for them. I always feel it's yours,
Mm,
unless of course I'm commissioned to do a project to have a certain look. Then I say, please maintain what it is.
mm,
The reason being is, if you've noticed my pictures, they're not the same. They're not the
yeah.
same. You have some photographers like you look at that, oh, that's that person.
Yeah.
And I share with my guests, I said they're not the same because all your families are different, and the moments in which you captured it are different.
mm,
And secondly, in terms of adding filters, I love it. I see my fellow photographers and I admire their work when they put filters on. But I think filters also denote the time and the age for
Mm-hmm.
photos from back in the day. Yeah,
Yeah.
they look a
Yeah.
certain way because of
Yeah.
the material and also the time and age, and
Yeah.
it looks a certain way. But I believe in capturing moments as is because a day will come that they'll kind of wonder, like, wow, what did it really look like? I mean, now we have the black and white photos. AI
Yeah.
is also changing it into color so that we can have
Right.
an idea what it looked like because the world back
Yeah.
then wasn't black and white.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if it were anything, if I were to be asked by a client to put a certain filter, I'll do it. But I also provide them one without any filters. So in any case in the future, their children, because they won't be there, their children's children will want to see how was grandpa's day like? What did it look like? That's what it looked like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You
So
mentioned something
go ahead.
earlier, and I wanted just to go back real quick. A lot of photographers spend a lot of time editing software, so you'll have a lot of good skills. Photography itself, having the eye for it, and having the good equipment to take the photo. But editing software for someone that's out there trying to get into business, is there any beginning editing software that will make your life easier as a amateur photographer?
I think hands down Lightroom. I
Lightroom.
use Lightroom. Yeah, as basic as you can get with Lightroom.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, go with that. Feel yourself. Feel the colors. You don't really need to look like anyone else. I've always tried to
Yeah.
maintain the fact that you're sui generis. You're unique in your own self. There's only one of you, one of me. So we bring our own selves to the table. If we try copy everyone else, oh boy, that's a pretty sad life.
Yeah.
Although
Yeah.
they
I
say
totally
imitation
agree.
is flattery, but
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
yeah, be you
Yeah.
because we want to see you. We want to see the world through your eyes. Yeah,
Right.
share
Right.
with us the beauty that you see that we cannot see. Yeah.
Yeah. I totally agree. So as we transition to the next segment, I want to ask one question in regards to photography.
Mm.
If you could photograph anyone in the world, living or past, who would it be?
Well, I really would have loved to have taken an intimate photo of George Fiji,
Mm.
uh, the person that he is before he left, because the way he looked, everything around him showed a lot of what he had gone through, or what he was going through. And despite all of that, was still able to touch a lot of people's lives.
Right.
Yeah, I would have loved to have done that. It's sometimes the picture of a person is etched in their faces, their hands. For him, it was his voice. But if you spend time to just sit and just look at him, you'll see a lot. There's a lot there. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you,
I'll
Masada.
get the chance. Yeah. Naka.
Yeah, I know that was very sensitive because we had talked about this offline that, we wanted to keep it private because of your feelings towards it. It's a very sacred emotion and feelings you have for him. So I appreciate you sharing that,
Mm-hmm.
especially, being very honest about this picture that you would take if you had that chance. So thank you.
Naka. Thank you.
And also, before we move on to the next segment, do we have any
Yes.
comments? Sorry, I'd like to bring in our viewers too.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, is this from Tasiali'i? Okay, great to see our Polynesian photographers capturing those memories that will be memorable for the future generations.
Mhm.
Photos always helps us tell great stories for our kids, and also, let's see.
Oh, and let me see. And also crazy ones as well. Thanks for what you do in capturing those memories for families. And he says, great
Oh,
job. So,
thanks, man.
yeah, yeah.
Thank you to our viewers and appreciate our interaction from our audience.
No, awesome, man.
So I know we had spoken, you had mentioned earlier about the how you got started with using the voiceover and
Mm.
a big part of your childhood, how that played a part in this. Um, so emceeing in Fiji, what makes a good host in the island culture when we talk about emceeing?
Hands down, what makes a good host in the island culture is
Mhm.
when you stand there, you stand for others and not for yourself. Um, I think one of the main, if there's anything I'd like to share, and if we all look around, some of our most amazing hosts were people who were just there for us, like, yeah. And I've learned that, and weaknesses are good, stuff ups are good. They actually show how human you are.
Yeah.
If there's anything, I'll be honest, I'm not the perfect MC. For those who've been part of the events that I've been that I MC and host, like you're gonna look at the guy who'll trip up right at the start. Yeah, but one thing is, I'll use that tripping up to start running or running all the way through. Yeah. When you mentioned that, so gave me a memory of tourism Fiji. They got me on to MC an event, and I think it was 2023 or 2024 for all the agents that had come in from all over the world. So I went up to the stage, and most people think that it's like easy, but no. Rana,
Yeah.
behind that pulpit, the podium, my knees shaking big time, man. Like, it's so crazy. So I went on stage this one moment, and I first and foremost was I didn't have anything to wear. When I got into the hotel, if you've been to Fiji, you've been to the Sheraton, there's a place behind in the other rooms. There's a bunch of ladies. They sell shirts and trinkets. I ran there, and these ladies are from an island group called the Lau Group, very closely related to Tonga. And from
Okay.
where I'm from Rewa, and them, our relationship is such that there's like this banter that goes on.
Mm.
We call it tauvu. That day I ran over there and I turned to them and said, Tau, I'm doing this today. In a few minutes, I don't have any shirt or anything. Please dress me up. And they looked around, they bought the shirt and they took the necklace. I thought, okay, do I look good? You look good. And they slapped me with a huge bill. Oh, man. Yeah.
Oh
So in just one
no.
moment, I almost spent like $200 just in that one short moment. Yeah. But that it is what it is. It is what it is. So I went on stage. As I went on stage, everything in my mind just totally blanked out. Went out. I stood there looking at all these strangers who would say I was a stranger as well and
Mhm.
didn't know what to say. But there was something. Before the event, the Fijian Rua, that's our rugby team and the Super Rugby, they had just won their match.
Mm.
And the current GM, general manager for the Marriott, his name is Silvano. He had walked through before the event started, and I was on the top, and he looked over, Masada, Fijian Rua, Toso, like Rua won. And so I stood up there at that moment, and I looked around, and I said, guess what, guys? I'm stuck. But the Rua won. Toso Viti Toso, right there on stage. And I told everyone, Toso Viti.
I was
Everyone
so
started,
cheering.
Toso Viti Toso. Yeah, I was such a
Got the
didn't,
crowd
they
going.
didn't know. I did not know what to do. So I just did that. And it just reset the whole event.
Mm.
And I continued. But yeah, like your question, if anyone's considering to be an MC, you'll have to learn to make mistakes and
Mm.
Yeah.
live with it. We're human, you know. We're gonna make mistakes, but just pick up for them. Once people feel that that's who you are, they'll be okay with making mistakes
Yeah.
as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of helps because I work with energy. Yeah, it's not really anything else, but it's all about energy. And if the energy in the room is supporting me back, that's when I can grow, package something, give it back to them, and it just goes back and forth, just like that. Yeah. And so even to the point that stories that I've long forgotten or lessons come up, and I
Right.
share that. Yeah.
Mhm.
So
I
it's
like that.
an MC thing is an interaction between people, but you
Yeah.
stand on behalf of your clients, who are hoping that you will give their guests what they deserve, and a wonderful time, and also guide them through the program that they've prepared it. Yeah. So toso viti toso.
I like what you
Yeah.
mentioned. For me, something similar happened. I was emceeing a military event, and I was flowing. You know, it
Oh.
started good and it was going good, but then I always get dry mouth. So instead of like constantly running to my bottle, so I was chewing gum, but then I usually just put the gum underneath my tongue and just, keeps my mouth water. And at some point, I got too confident and I was flowing, and somehow I spit the gum out. And it just interrupted my thought. I was like, here are, all these people looking. And that's one thing the military tells you when you ever go up
Yeah.
there, never chew gum. It's kind of like disrespectful to
Okay.
the military. But to me, it was like, don't chew it. Just put it underneath your tongue, and that'll be enough to salivate. But that was like, how do I recover from this? And it's just like what you said, I just went with it. I said, well, it was for our brand new graduates who are now new lieutenants in the military. And I just said, well, there you go, lieutenants. That's lesson number one. Never chew gum when you're up front. And, the crowd just laughed. And then I just continued from
Yeah.
there. Like, okay, I'm glad they laughed at my joke, because if
Oh
they
man.
didn't, then I would have been like
Oh
horrified.
man. Yeah. You would have literally been in a sticky situation. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Sticky.
Oh man. Oh
Mhm.
I was
snaps.
gonna ask you, is there a different voice between like what you use on a normal setting from what
Mm.
you do in your field?
Yes, I think so. Yeah, it depends on how I feel. That's the thing I can't even explain as well
Mhm.
when I do an MC or stuff. It depends on the event. Um, like I've had people come over and tell me how I brought a certain form of reverence to an event,
Mm,
and yes, and at other times I can change it up to make it wild. So yeah, it just depends. I think my part is being a mediator between the client and the guest, but understanding what the client needs and how the event needs to go.
Yeah.
Once I understand that, and then I go in and I represent, and that just comes. Yeah, I don't have to try, it just happens. Yeah.
Mhm. I like that. I
So
like what you just said because you have to really adjust to the environment and being able to like we had another guest, he's an actor, and he mentioned about when he was put into a scene, he made sure before he got on to the tryouts that he practiced different types of scenarios of how to act.
mm,
And so, just going off of what you're talking about as an MC, it's so much of you understanding the environment and how to adapt to what is needed at that time in that moment. And I truly love how you mentioned that you went with the flow, you are being yourself, because just like for me, I resonate and relate more to someone who's more real than someone that is trying to be someone that they're not. So that's kudos to you for doing a hard task at a given time where things are just unexpected a lot of times in your position. So good
man.
job. Yeah.
Man, thank you, Leso. You actually brought back a memory. When I first got back to Fiji in 2008, I had the privilege of hosting online. Uh, I would say online, but it was on television. But it was also on South Pacific forgetting this. Sky Pacific Channel, and
Mm.
we had the Hibiscus Festival, which is the mother of all festivals here in Fiji. And I was co-hosting with one of my idols in radio, Sharon Bhagwan Rolls. And as I sat in with her, I realized she was so intact. She knew how to lay things out. But what it also reminded me was that this is television. And because I had the opportunity to serve my mission here in Fiji and all over Fiji, I remembered how it felt like to be in Taviuni, in Rakiraki, in Rotuma, these outer islands, and watching television, hoping, wow, how we wish we were there, at the event.
Mm.
And so, because I had this amazing lady MC in such a polished way, I decided to go the opposite. I
Mm.
decided to go fun and crazy so that I could complement this because I knew that she would be able to touch certain audience folks and I would touch the other folks.
Yes.
So that was an example. But by doing so, I received criticism for the way that I
Mm.
was emceeing because for certain people, they did not perceive that as professional.
Mm.
And a certain individual made a post on Facebook. I looked at that. It hurt me, to be honest, it hurt
Mm.
me. But then I wrote, if it meant for me to look stupid in front of Fiji just so that people can smile and have a wonderful time, I will do that. It doesn't necessarily mean that that's the person that I am. It's just that in this type of work, I am serving others. And so I have to
Mm.
forget about myself and pick this up. And yeah, it was a blast. It was a blast. And I got to connect with so many different people after that. And even until now, I think the most recent, just yesterday, I did a shoot for a birthday, and this man, he worked at the hotel. He turned to me and he said, "Were you the same Masada that hosted the television, the Hibiscus Festival?" And I was like, "Oh, that's a long time ago, man. That's like 2009."
Mm.
So from 2009, he still remembered, and that's what I'm saying. It's so you forget yourself, think about others, and they'll remember through the ages. Yeah. So I guess just to add to that, like as
Mhm.
Yeah.
MCs, we're not immune to the criticism and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all part and parcel of it. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna add to what you just mentioned, because my son served a mission in the Marshallese Island, and you served a mission in your own
Fiji.
country.
Yes,
So
I did.
there has I know there's so much that you've learned being on your mission. How did that help you in your life now as you were able to go through those 2 years of being of service? Because being of service, you get lost. You don't put yourself first. So tell me about that.
I've always compared it to my 7 years at my alma mater, boarding school. 7 years boarding school. The 7 years boarding school was tough. The 2 years was way harder than the 7 years I had at boarding school. Um, the, God has a way of breaking us down, resetting our foundation, and that requires a lot of tears as well, a lot of pain. So I served on the outer islands. I served in Rotuma. Um, I had Rotuman friends here in Fiji. They spoke Fijian, so there was no problem. But when I got to Rotuma, they either spoke Rotuman or Rotuman.
Mm.
There's nothing else. You don't speak Fijian, and still speak English, and so it was a culture shock for me
Mm.
to not be able to be understood and to be there and try to forget myself and try and understand them. I served amongst my Indian brothers and sisters here in Tabua, Rakiraki, walking through the cane fields, sitting with them, eating curry, morning, lunch, dinner. Like I've never eaten curry like that, man. First phone call to my mother, I told her I was sick and tired. But after 1 month, I had to eat curry. and knowing the different types of curry, the different
Mhm.
groups of Indians, South Indian and North Indian, the different ways that they do their
Ah,
curry, the Gujaratis, that's from the Indian. And then as I served amongst my own people, we are all different. Different parts of Fiji, they speak different dialects and they behave differently. They think differently.
Hmm.
So that, because we're there to serve, when I left those areas and when I meet anyone from that area, there's a love. There's a love that I can't explain that wells up to know of that person because you know
mm,
you walk their roads, you've gone through the
yeah,
hardships with them. Yeah, and so that's really helped me for my MC work and for anything that I do as a Fijian. Like when people speak, when my Indian brothers share something, I understand, I can feel it, and I understand. Yeah, and I think that that may be something that I would love for all of us to have is to take the time to step into people's shoes. Everyone's the same. We just live in different conditions, and you have to
yeah,
have a certain mindset to survive in those conditions. And that's why when we meet someone, it's like, oh, they think different, yeah, or they think different because where they grew up from is different, and they have to think that way.
yes.
But if you are understanding that way, you'll see them open up. So yeah, that plays a huge role. Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing that. By the way, Masada, how many islands are there in the Fijians? Is it 333, correct?
Yeah,
Or
there's 330 plus islands
Hmm.
in Fiji. Yeah, I'm not sure as to exactly what number is uninhabited because I think the uninhabited ones some have been sold and bought. Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't want to put you on spot, but we have
Hmm.
to do this if it's okay with you. If your voice was on a
Yep.
soundtrack to a Fijian tourism video, what would that sound like?
Oh man, I've been asked to voice some of the Tourism Fiji ads, but I'd like to voice something in a way that shows how I feel about Fiji. To be allowed freedom to voice it in the way that I feel is appropriate. Because Fiji is not just one people, it's a mix of different Fijians,
Hmm.
different races, different cultures. There's cultures within a culture. Um, there's a soundtrack, though, that brings to mind, and they used to play this way back, I think in 1994 or 1992 when they started television in Fiji. And I hope that one day that this song can be brought back to life, redone with orchestra. But the lyrics are such that it goes, I want to build this land we call Fiji, uh, where our races live in peace and harmony, to build a future for our children, a future safe and sure, one that will endure forevermore. So let us all work together, Fiji. Let us unite to build a nation of one great family. Together, hand in hand, we will prosper in this land. Several nations, one races, one destiny, something like that, yeah. Several races, one nation, and free. That, for me, is a song that was on television that I feel that one day to be brought back to make us all realize that
I love that.
this life is just a one-way highway, and we are all traveling all on our different journeys. We all have our weaknesses and stuff, but yeah, we're all in this together, you know. So yeah, hopefully someone hears this and finds where that song is and yeah, revives it.
Yeah, I
But
love what you mentioned. You said something earlier, and to be mindful of the the different islands and the different dialects. There's just so many things to account for. So when you're trying to represent a voice of the the whole of Fiji, it's not as easy as we think. right? There may be a dialect or just some representation that you have to be mindful of, and how do you include? And I'm just going to compare it to, like, to Samoa. Like, there's three Samoas out there, so you can almost narrow it down to,
True.
Upolu and Sava'i, and then Tutuila is one island, then Manua. Um, but even that, you have to be mindful. Did you make sure that you include the honors of each one? Sometimes if you say
Mm,
something like, yeah, this is Samoa, and then people, the critics, you mentioned earlier, the critics, they're going to come out. I didn't hear you say something about this island. Or what about this island? It's like, oh, I wish I would have thought this through a little bit, thoroughly. Like what you said, it's not as easy like, oh yeah, this is the voice of all the people. But you ask yourself, is it really? So I'm glad you touched on that.
you know, since as you bring that up, uh, it reminds me of one thing. When you do something out of love, it'll s- it'll resonate.
Mm-hmm.
It'll resonate with people. And the second part with the critics, uh, I couldn't bring up that quote from is it Roosevelt about the man in the arena.
Mm.
Mhm.
I used to be worried about critics before, but that quote about the man in the arena, sweating blood and tears,
Mm.
the one that goes through all of that hardship, yet the critics are sometimes those who are outside pointing fingers at how it should be.
Mm.
Yeah, it doesn't matter at all. It doesn't matter. But if there's a critic who has a solution, I welcome it
Right.
with open arms.
Mhm.
Yeah, I take on. I love criticism. Personally, I love criticism because I see that's the only way to grow. And whenever I hear someone saying something and I see, oh, okay, I'll message that person. You're right. What else do you feel that I can do better?
Mm.
Tell me. Yeah. So ensuring to always have the spirit of learning, knowing that we don't know everything. We're always learning every day. Like, you know something that I don't know, but if it can make me better, please, I'll accept it. I'll take it. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
thank you for bringing that up. And this is me speaking, not Masada speaking, because I always say that on my own TikTok account. You
Yeah.
will never have the full understanding of something. Whatever you're studying and
True.
whatever field you're in, and don't come out and
Yeah.
think you're an expert at everything, because someone will always be
Amen.
smarter than you. So, have
Boom.
that respect
That's so
when
true.
the
Yep.
growth and conversations will expand when you show that respect for others. So don't come out firing, to attack someone. Like,
Yeah.
Mm.
bridge the gap, and what you
Yeah.
bring and what I bring will come to will come into some formalized understanding. Um,
Mm.
but before I go back to Leaso, can you
Mm.
pull up some of these comments? Okay, thank you. Okay, I love how you're sensitive to discern your environment and flow with the audience and crowd.
Oh man. It's a
It makes it
naka.
easier for those to be open and receive what you share. Yeah, absolutely. And then from Crystal, she says, "I love that. Take the time to step in people's shoes." Okay.
Thank you.
Alipate, okay. My favorite MC and Fiji ambassador ever,
Oh,
Pinaka Masada.
Ah.
so sa naka.
When you were singing that song, it really touched my soul, not just because we're on a podcast, but because it I feel somewhat of pain, not in a sense where it's a bad thing, but where I feel like there needs to be a togetherness with everyone, with not just Fiji but also Samoa, and we all have that part of us in our culture that needs to be united and not be diverse in where we're dividing ourselves through, like what you mentioned, with the critics coming out there to just degrade you trying. I like to see you come out there to try yourself, and at the same time, if you have solution, we are welcoming those
Mm,
solution. And just like with Pulse of Polynesia, we get a lot of critics at the same time. And I've learned through with Arlington and friends, and our panel and those on the side who've taught me to remind me that, hey, of those critics that are out there, you got all these people behind you that's supporting you, even those who come and out. And like what you said, you mentioned that you put a lot of smile on people's faces, and they've come
Mm.
and approached you and to thank you because you made their day. And so, we need to, to be united in a sense of remind ourselves, like, if it's right and if it's the path that God wants you to be on, keep pushing forward, keep doing what you need to do, because you never know, that person who had put that comment in is, it's like what you said before, we don't know their situation, but we take lightly to what they're going through, and move forward and hoping that what we do in the light of Christ, that they'll come to that point and understand what the work that we're doing is for the betterment. And so with that said, Masada, I wanted to ask you, with the love of your culture, and and at the same time thinking outside the box, more of a person that don't stick to just culture, right? What is it about your tradition that you carry on with your family, your children, that you want them to move forward, and as they have their own family? What is that part of your tradition that you want your kids to carry over?
Respect.
Yeah.
Respect everyone. Respect people you think the beggars. Respect them. Everyone has a lesson to teach us. Like, we can learn from everyone. If they're alive, it's not because of me or anyone else. It's because God gave them the chance to live another life. So we should never judge people based on our own thoughts of what they need to be, but we should see them. If they're alive, then that's because God allowed them to be alive, to live another day, to change. I have something that I keep in mind. It's KCK. Kenda Valakeve. We all commit sin. We all wrong. And for me, reminding myself of that, it keeps me in line to hold out on being on being judgmental unrighteously. I know people say you shouldn't judge. No, no, we continue to judge. We need to judge in our lives, but we need to judge righteously. And by doing so, allow people the room to grow from wherever they are. Kenda Dalakere means, yeah, we all do wrong. But the thing is, can I be better tomorrow? Can I do better? Yeah, you can do better. If you alive again the next day, that means God knows and God sees and He knows you can. So yeah, stand up, Toso. You can do it. Yeah. For me, it's my own life. For those who really know me, know my story and stuff. I'm not the perfect person ever, but one thing I do know is I will try and keep on doing better every day, keep on growing. Yeah. So if there's any message, kenda dalakede, and always respect everyone.
I like what you just mentioned there, and it's something that transcends across the Pacific. That word respect, right? And we always it's respect elders, respect your brothers, sisters, parents, cousins, your fellow Pacific Islander, and just anyone in general. We always say, have that respect for others. So it's critical in any juncture in our lives to, to remember that. And just for us in Samoa, you know, it seems like it's something that I know that's message was for your kids, but then it's important. I wanted to bring that for a lot that I see across just the social media. It seems like that is lost, right? The respect you have in the forums, people, that's an elder or a pastor that's commenting on something, but do you see the language that they have, just very vulgar to each other, and you ask yourself, where did we lose this as Pacific Islanders, right? Just because we're on a social media forum, would you talk to your elders or your anyone like that in public? Probably not. But why does not respect not carry over in these social media forums? When you mentioned that, and that was just something
Mm.
that came to mind. How do we convey that back
Cultivate, eh?
to?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so true. I think, and also respect born out of love, rather than
Hmm.
respect just for the sake of it, just because of
Yeah.
status. I think respect born out of love is probably what's needed, because you have certain people who occupy certain stations in life and demanding that, but yet it's a two-way thing. You have to earn it. It's something
Mm,
that's earned. So yeah, you're really right. And I think with what's happening on social media, with certain individuals saying certain things, that clearly shows that that individual has a lot of trauma in their life that they
Mm.
haven't worked on. You know, and as much as you hide it, these platforms actually reveal the trauma that individuals have. Yeah, if I own the business owner, man, you don't need to ask them any question. They reveal themselves
right.
when they're not in front of people, when they're behind that screen. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. So, I have to ask you a question in regards to cultural stories, right?
Mm.
What is your favorite, so like when we have our stories, our stories, our childhood stories, what is your favorite childhood stories that's part of your culture that every kid in your generation knows about?
Yeah. What is a Oh, man, what would be one culture story? Oy. Uh, well, I wouldn't say it would be a cultural story. It would be, what would you call it? Not a fable. What are those stories that they used to have, like Aesop's fables? They had morals within them.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah. They used to have sayings. So one saying, I was I think with the line to never give up, was Vitalia nakadambote. And this was a saying by a frog trying to blow himself up so that he was
Mm.
bigger. Yeah. So yeah, I think it's a what would say a Fijian idiom, I might say. Just showcasing that the frog is willing to grow it big and burst, like giving the never say die kind of attitude to things. Um, but in terms of stories, I'm not really. I know there's a lot more other stories that are here, but that is one.
Is it me, Lasso? Can you hear Masada?
No, I can't hear it.
For some reason went on mute.
Okay.
Okay, I think he can hear us, right?
Yes, he can hear us.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. Okay, we see you trying to speak, but you're still on mute on our end. Hmm.
Let me see. Let me check on my side. Um, so while we're waiting for him, I really did enjoy that, what he had shared with us and talked about, um, especially coming from a different perspective, like Fiji and his upbringing. Beautiful.
Yeah. No, I was waiting for him to finish his story, but
Yeah.
the Samoan, like we have so many tales tied to other Pacific islands, and the one that came to mind was I think it's the story of Apoula, was the brothers who came from Fiji with their sister, and I think it's the famous I think it's the story of Vea or Vi, but Samoan is the relationship between Samoa and all the, especially Fiji and Tonga. There's so many stories rooted, and let's not bring up the other story that was so controversial, right? Yeah. So
Yeah, not yet. No, not yet. I'm not prepared for that yet.
no, but when he comes back, I think it's good for us to ask because we always hear the Samoans talk about this story, right? And I think I like to hear just what is perspective and for our audience. what we're talking about is the Tatau story. So it's very controversial with us in Samoa, but the story as told is written that the tattoo from or the Tatau that we practice today in Samoa, as written, it says
Mhm.
Fiji. But then within Samoa, there's a big argument that Fiji is not Fiji, and then the other people, they're saying the same thing. It's from Fiti Uta in Manua. So, and I know the University in Upolu, they've already done studies. They've actually did field work in Fiji. So,
Right.
hey, welcome
Right.
Yay,
back. Uh,
welcome
we'll let you
back.
finish the story, and then we're gonna ask you
Yeah.
tattoo
Okay.
story with Samoa. So we'll go ahead and let you finish up.
I kind of forgot where was I? Oh, the story, yeah. Oh yeah. Oh man, sorry about that. Took a break. There's a
Oh,
Fiji
you're
kind of break
good.
where you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I was saying about the Vitalia na Kalambote regarding the frog. I think it would be considered like a Fijian idiom or some of that sort. But in terms of the story, if there's anyone that I can think of, there's a story of the sand dunes that I live nearby here in Singatoka, where the two giants, when they flew over,
Hmm.
taking Earth, and they dropped it along the way. So that would be the one that I vaguely remember. I mean, I remember more of Sina and the coconut.
Oh.
That's from Samoa. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I think
Well,
Arlington, you wanted to ask about that
yeah, we
one
were gonna
question. Yeah.
like we were saying earlier when you dropped off. Samoa has so many stories tied to Tonga
Mm.
and Fiji, and because the royal families have intermarried, but a lot of our stories are rooted in those Pacifica Islands. But the one that we wanted to ask, just from your perspective, the tattoo story, right? Are you familiar with the
Ah,
tatau?
yes,
Okay,
yes.
so
Talk to the women, not the men. Talk to the women.
yeah,
Then she tripped, and then
let's hear your Fijian version, or just your insight.
really. Well, no, that's about the only version I know is that
Okay.
the women, because in Fiji it was the women that were tattooed,
Mm,
and they were the two. Was it the two ladies that came from Samoa?
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they were told to tattoo the women, not the men, and they went. And one of them tripped over the tree, tree root or something, and stood up. Tattoo the men, not the women. Tattoo the men.
Yeah.
Really? Yeah. I I think it's the same story, right?
Mhm.
We
How
like
do you
that.
say how do you say that in Samoan though? Like tattoo the women, not the men. How would you say it in Samoan?
Yeah, it's tata, yeah, tata, what is it for
Yeah.
female, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
tata watane. So,
Okay.
but in the Samoan version that is known out there there was this clam, that the girls were attracted to once they were getting
Oh.
closer to Samoa, and they dove down to to this clam, and by the time they came back up, the story had changed. But what we were trying to ask is, Fiji, parts of Fiji, we know the females do tattoo,
Mm.
right? The body art similar to the women, right?
Yes.
So that was one of the pieces we wanted to confirm, which supports
Mm.
the Fiji argument. Because in Samoa, there's an argument that the other half is saying no, it's Fiti Uta. That's an island in Manua, one
Mm.
of the other island chains in Samoa, and then the other, I think majority believe that it's from Fiji, Fiti, Fiti as in Fiji. So
Yeah.
we wanted just sort of connect those dots because we hear the Samoan people argue, but we wanted
Mm.
to also bring the Fijian perspective. So thanks for sharing.
Y-
Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
So there's this individual that I recommended to Yasu, and he would be the best person to that.
Okay.
Although the practice hasn't continued with the Fijian females,
Mm,
um,
Mhm.
yeah, which is really interesting.
Really?
yeah.
The gentleman
Really?
who Simeone Sebunrende, he'll lay it all out to you. Yeah, get down right down to the nitty gritty details as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah. But
So,
I
so
think
that's
the
one of the
most
names you
important
gave me,
part.
right?
that's correct.
Okay. Yeah. I'll reach out to him again.
Mm.
I just want to
Yeah.
finish up this part. I think the most important to come out of this is the historical. There's even photos, so there's no argument. We know that the Fijian women did get tattoos, and very similar to the current Samoa. So I just want to connect that for our viewers
Yes.
out there. Yeah.
Awesome.
All right, back
Yeah.
to you, Lasso.
Okay. So, Masada, what is, I know you mentioned this a lot of times, but what's a Fijian proverb or saying that you live by?
Man, I don't really. That's a good one. Trying to remember any. Oh, this is more to do with what we do in life, eh? Um, and I think it goes both ways for what we do is right and what wrong things we do.
Hmm.
It's siya nga niura metinda mo ni kuha. Siya nga niura metinda mo ni kuha. Most of the things that we do are such that it'll happen now. The consequences or the fruits,
Hmm.
consequences being the bad and fruits being of good, whatever good we do it. Yeah. So it's, I think it has to do with the prawns. Uh, yeah, I'll try. I might dig myself a grave by going to more, but that would be a Fijian idiom that I remember. So always remember that what we do might not happen now, but the results you can see later on.
Mm, okay. That is awesome. Well, here's another question I have for you. If you could send one message from Fiji to the Pacific diaspora, what would it be?
Love one another, man. We all the same family. We all the same family. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Moana, the ocean, connects us. I've always believed that there's a reason why we're the Isles of the Sea.
Mm-hmm.
Most of our brethren and sisters who are in the continents, and I think this is the reason why most of them leave the continents to come to the islands. They say the weather, they say the people, but I tend to think that we, as the Isles of the Sea, live a life where we still have God in our lives in a sense. We understand, try and live with nature. And we are here to remind our brethren and sisters from the continents what it is like to live life connected with the land. Eh?
Mhm.
So that would be my message to my brothers and sisters on the Isles of the Sea is that we are here to help our brothers on the continents, our brothers and sisters on the continents to come back and refresh themselves, to
Hmm.
remind them this is life. This is why down to the basics, down to the family units, down to relationships with each other. Yeah, the smiles. That smile is not just the physical manifestation of anything else, but the energy within a person, and you're sharing that. Similar to Hawaii, when they greet other people, with aloha, the breath of life, aloha, and our
Mhm.
smiles are such. And that's what I feel for us in the Pacific Islands. That's why tourism is probably the main revenue generating part of the islands. Is we're here to provide sustenance to all our brothers and sisters on the joining continents. Come over, come and refresh yourselves. Then you go back. So that's what we are.
Yeah, I love the message you just
Yeah.
mentioned, and one of the comments, Lasso, if you can bring it up
Oh,
real
yeah,
quick,
sure.
it points out to what you've just mentioned. Like, Ula from Canada, right? Cheers, Canada. And we are connected by the ocean, but then everyone you'll see across, whether it's United States, New Zealand, Australia, and in the Pacific. And one thing, um, Stoic vibes, Talofa lava, yeah, Talofa, again, confirming what you just said, how we are connected. And what people don't know, our podcast you would think it's majority of Samoa that is tuning into ours, but what we feel so grateful is that our message is not limited to Samoa, and majority of the people are actually the not just Polynesia but the Pacific wide, and to it feels like an honor to have our voice accepted beyond the Samoa borders, and just exactly what you're telling here, and that's the purpose of our existence is to share the stories across Pacific wide, right? I know the name is Polynesia, but then we keep reinforcing that um, it's for all of the Pacific Islands. And what you mentioned today, it sort of paints the picture of our work here. I mean, you've connected the dots, and that's the image that we want lasting or imprinted in our viewers is this is um, what we stand for, or that's the message that most people are not connecting. If you don't know what we stand for, this podcast or Masada brought out, we are connected by the ocean, and just the message of love and respect is shared across of all of the Pacific. So thanks again
Yeah,
for sharing that piece.
yeah, yeah. Masada, I feel like there's so much more that we haven't really grasped on you and what's to come in the future. Now, I need you to tell me if your life was a
Mm.
movie, what would that title be?
Oh man. Oh, oh man. Man, that's a hard question. That's a hard one. Movie. Oh, maybe the what not to do in life.
I think I'll be joining you in that movie.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. Just yeah. Oh, in the words of Dory, just keep swimming. Just keep swimming.
Yeah,
Hmm.
that
I
is
like the
good.
reference you just said.
Yeah.
Like Dory, you said Dory, right? Of the
Yeah.
yeah.
So,
We-
quick fire questions for you. Before
hmm.
I even ask you this question, what is Kokoda and what is
Oh.
Lovo?
Oh, okay. Wow. Well, you would say yeah. Kokonda is
Kokoda.
basically Fiji's ceviche version of a ceviche, and the lovo is basically underground oven food. Well, of course, the famous palusami has made its
Yeah,
way into. So
yeah.
yeah, both
Wow.
are on my A list. Kokonda and lovo food. I had
And I
some lovo
forgot
food
to
last night.
mention, you had
Yeah.
some last night. So
Oh
I
yeah.
forgot to mention, you just taught me
Hmm.
something very valuable today with the pronunciation. Before the D, you sound the N. So,
Yes.
it's called
No. No.
condon,
Koko.
kokonda,
The yes, the D in the Fijian alphabet, when you pronounce it, you have to pronounce it as if there's an N in front of
and
it. So
before.
it's nd. Yeah. So
I am
it's
so bad with
yeah.
pronunciation.
Oh,
Okay, so before that, and I'm sorry, Masada, I'm gonna get this right soon, so forgive me.
you're
Besides
good.
this food and Lovo, which would you prefer?
Oh, between Kokonda and
Yeah,
Lovo?
kokunda. Yeah.
Oh man, that put me in a rock and a hard place on that one because to tell you the honest truth, last night
Coffee
I
Pacifico.
had Kokonda and Lovo. So they they go together, man.
So
Kokonda
you
is raw
can't have it
fish, yeah?
separate. Oh,
No, no, I cannot have it separate. Yeah, it's
yeah,
like trees and oxygen. They have to go together.
you know
Inseparable.
what? You just reminded me. Sorry,
Inseparable.
Arlene. You just reminded me. You were in Samoa for work.
Yeah. Yes.
And so tell us, how was that experience for you?
Ooh. Man, I'm gonna plug some more on this one, man. Ah, man, yeah. I love Samoa. I love Samoa. I love the Fa'a Samoa. I love how the culture, the government is running on the basis of the Fa'a Samoa.
Mm,
I love the cleanliness of the place, and this is all due to the fact of the Samoan people and the pride that you have in your culture. And I think that is one lesson that we can all learn from. Like what Uso was saying earlier. all these things, we all have something to offer.
Yes.
I mean, the Samoa might start this podcast, but it is where we all come together to support. And
Yes.
that's what we're all about, man. We're all one family, eh? You. And so Samoa, yeah, if I get to leave Fiji and it's given a place to move to, I would love to move to Samoa. Thank you to all the Samoan people, for the culture, yeah, for leading the way in the world. Uh, yeah, and also for the drama as well. Samoa got the drama. Keep going, man.
And the laughing Samoans.
Oh man, I'll carry on. Yeah. So I had the wonderful opportunity to work with Ete's brother, Ete and Tofinga, Ete's brother Inilese, yeah, for
Mhm.
music. So yeah, it was really great. But yeah, thank you.
No, you mentioned an important thing about us Pacific Islanders is, and I think I was telling you earlier offline was the Fijian community in American Samoa, right? Because I remember growing up, they also had their Fijian rugby team, very tough guys too. So
Mhm.
um, there's a good Fijian population there, and the Tongan population just blended well in Samoa. So it's like I can imagine like how it was back, those days because we all have stories that are tied to each other. But that's the
Mm,
beauty of it to have them coexist,
mm,
on one island. And you were complimenting Samoa too, but I want to compliment how we always root for Fiji when in the rugby matches,
Minsan.
right?
Yeah,
So even Tonga, right? If Samoa's not
yeah.
making it, you
Yep.
know, we're there for Tonga, and if not,
Yeah.
Fiji's
Yeah.
up there. Fiji's always up there. So
Yeah.
like you see my post, I'm like, let's go Fiji. We
Yeah.
we are also we're there with you guys. So yeah.
That is great that you noted that because I remember not sure which Olympics it was it Paya Wolfgram Toko from Tonga in
Mm,
the Olympics, the boxing. And I remember everyone, like even Fiji, rooting our Pacific
Yeah.
Island brother, man.
yeah,
Yeah, we might. I think when the pool stages and stuff, everyone's rooting for their own country,
right,
and
Yeah.
then whoever goes up, you're representing. You're
right.
not just standing for it; you're representing all of us. Yeah. So
Yeah, I
yeah,
totally
that's us,
agree.
man.
So here's another question for you,
Yep.
going back to your career. So, what's the strangest or most unique request you've ever gotten from a client?
Strangest, uniquest request I got from a client. Which area are you looking at? The DMCing or the
Both.
photography?
Both.
Both. Ooh. Ah, um,
Should we say it's a part of the book that's coming out about what not to do?
well, yeah, probably, yeah. But I think, yeah, um, yeah, no, I haven't really gotten strange requests, and I think when I do get strange requests, I do it, then it disappears, kind of thing.
Mhm,
Yeah, I've had some strange requests to do certain photos
mhm.
of clients, yeah. Um, but yeah, no, I think I'll wait for the book. My memory's kind of short.
Chapter 2.
Mm. Yeah.
But you know what? Good job. I mean, the fact that you're
Just
able
that.
to keep everything professional and at the same time, out of respect for your clients, you keep it private because it's a sacred
Yeah.
moment for everybody. And then you being very valuable, trusted person
Yeah.
to respect that and keep that sacredness for both your client and yourself. So kudos to you. Good job.
Thank
You
you.
know,
Akame.
yeah.
Any other interesting hobbies aside from just for your personal time? What do you do in your personal time aside from emceeing and
Oh,
photography?
person time. I spend a lot of time with the other side of my heart. Like, yeah. So gotta look after the other side of the heart there. Yeah. Got the yeah. Because you know the Usos, they can't do anything without our tahinas right
Mhm.
beside us. Eh?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's how we roll. So for me, time is basically with the family
Mm.
and spending time with the missus.
Yeah.
So I think that's basically it.
You're a great family
Look,
man. Mm.
yeah, look, Masada, you're Fiji's got so many beautiful pictures of the
Yeah.
scenery, the landscape, and especially the beaches. What do you say to all of those who want to come out to Fiji for vacation? What is the spot to be? What is the place to be, and also the place to that's not gonna rip your pocket apart to where you come broke? So,
Well, I think it depends on the individual and what you'd like. I think there's everything for everyone. If you'd like the resort scene, we've got Denaro Island right there, near the airport, just a few minutes away from the airport. If you like adventure, you can come far out. You know, there's other
yeah,
resorts out here. There's activities that they can do as well. They want peace and quiet. There's places here in Fiji as well for peace and quiet. So I think there's something for everyone. And the lovely thing with certain resorts, especially this time of the season, we have our rugby matches, the weekend rugby matches going on. So
Mm.
you can come over to the resorts on the Coral Coast, head out to the nearest Lawanga Park. I live in the province that's well known for creating a lot of the Fiji reps. This is
mm,
Nanronga. It's a stallion province. Yeah, they're
okay,
yeah. So you
okay.
can watch good rugby here as well.
Nice.
So, any time of the year is a good time to come visit Fiji. Anytime.
It changes depending on the weather. Yeah, we're in
Mhm.
the winter, so this is
Mm.
the time that you'll see a lot of the Australians and New Zealanders coming over to Fiji because our winter is like a summer to them as well.
Okay.
If you yeah depend from October to April because that's our hurricane season.
Mm,
It's also one of the hot seasons as well. So you'd like
I
yeah,
imagine.
some of that nice sunshine. That's the time to come to Fiji.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Something for
That,
everyone.
Leo, can we I know we're getting top of the second hour. I just didn't want to
yeah.
neglect our viewers, so if you can bring some comments
Hmm.
up. So if, Denise, Talofa Denise, uh, that's nice. Okay, I think it was referring to something that we mentioned earlier. If you move to Samoa, you have to visit Sauniatsu. Okay, is it Sauniatsu?
Yes,
Did I
I've
pronounce that
done
right?
that.
Okay,
I've been there.
Ooh,
I
and
wow.
love
it's
it. Like wow, wow,
and
man.
15. Ulai Malo Soifua from the land of the long white cloud, New Zealand. Hey, New Zealand in the house.
Yes. Oh, kia ora, bro.
So we're at the end of our last segment, and we're so grateful to have you on. Just a couple of
Okay.
questions before we end. When people look back at your life's work, what do you want them to remember?
Hmm. I, I I try and live a life in what I do so that when I pass on, they'll remember. And when they see my kids growing up
Mm,
and probably needing help, that they'll remember how I helped them and they would offer that same help to my kids. And that's basically how it like I roll is that what I do for others, it might not return it back to me, but if you can, when my child is growing up and might need that help, might need that advice or correction, please, on my behalf, do it. I would appreciate that.
yeah, I
What's
like
one
that.
piece of advice you give to young Pacific Islanders chasing their dreams?
Chase your dreams, but don't lose yourself or your family and the purpose of life.
Mm,
Everything is nice, but there's more to life than all of the glitter and glam. Your true value lies within how you feel about yourself rather than on other people's notions about you. Because once you know who you are and your purpose in life, irregardless of whoever's there out there and what they say about you know one thing for sure. Leatua knows, our God knows, you know, and that's all that matters. Because also, like you were mentioning, sometimes our good deeds are taken the other way by individuals who have trauma in their lives. But quoting one of the ways in which Abraham Lincoln said about enemies, you destroy your enemies by making them your friends. And
Mm.
the only way to do that is by love. When these people, these individuals, these groups of people then realize, like, wow, you're really doing it. You actually care. And there's that one saying, people don't really care much about what you know. They only want to know how much you care. And once that care comes across, it just smoothens out everything, dissolves everything, and just allows you to go forward. So, yeah, know yourself first, know your worth. And I think the only way to know that is to know God,
Mm.
because He'll help you. He'll help you know your purpose in life. And when you go, do it. And just remember, man, there's opposition in all things, eh? And the greater the opposition, the greater the things you
Greater.
do. So
Amen.
just keep swimming, brother. Just keep
Yes.
swimming.
Yeah.
Any exciting projects coming up for you?
Exciting for yeah. There's one. I think it's coming out in September. Uh, I really went out of my comfort zone on this one. But it is a reality show. It's Fiji's first reality show,
Mm.
and it has to do with Fiji's most photogenic model.
Mm.
So I had the opportunity to be part of that. Not as a model, no
I
model.
I
As a
say,
Yeah.
person.
oh man,
Okay.
live your dreams.
My close the
Artist.
show, man. Close the show, man. Wow, take it away. Yeah. Oh man, EO. So that's one, and yeah. Um, the interesting thing is most of the times I sometimes don't know the projects that happen
Mhm.
until it's like probably in a week or so. For example, if I may share, just early this year, I got a call, and then got email from this agency from Dubai. So they
Ooh.
messaged me. I received it. Said if you're available for this photo shoot, your charges. Send it. There's nothing. They were just like, okay, yes, yes, here. You're coming to this location.
Mm.
No word on who or what my clients were. Yeah, I got to that location and didn't know until the butler told me when I was going in the cart. My yeah, my guests were actually royalty from Saudi
Mm.
Arabia. Yeah, so like I say, like you never know, never know
Right.
what
Mm.
you're gonna get. Yeah, basically Tom Hanks all over there. Life is like a box of chocolates. Never know what you're gonna get. Yeah.
You are the best at doing that. Love it.
Oh man.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, Masada, last
Yeah.
question for you. How can people follow, support, and work with you?
Oh man. Okay. You know, I there's a certain way that I work and a certain way that I choose certain gigs that I do. The gigs have to be inspirational. The gigs have to be of purpose. Um, I've taken myself out of using my voice for commercials just because of this purpose. If it's something to do with a documentary, something to uplift people, then I can use my voice for that. So other than that, if any project that you're doing requires love and just something that uplifts other people, you got me on board, man. You got me on board.
Thank you, because I believe that's how you decided to choose and take the invitation to be on our podcast. So thank you so much. Yeah.
Absolutely, guys. Absolutely, man. thank you
Mhm.
so much for the privilege. It is a privilege and an honor to be invited. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Arlington. As we close, I'll turn the time to Arlington before we give it to Masada. Go ahead.
Yeah, once again, we want to give you thanks for accepting the invitation, and it was a beautiful way to share, the heart of the Pacific. That's one thing. And someone just mentioned it on the last comment. And I think it captures this segment. And they said one love, and that is so true to heart. It defines us as Pacific Islanders. I mean, we are connected by that love. So th- um, everything that you mentioned, it's not something that's limited. I know that this segment was, to tie to the Fijian people and islands. So, but we wanted to also share to our audience. This applies across to all the Pacific Islands. So hopefully that whether you're watching it live or watching it later on, take this to heart. And this is a shared podcast for all of our people of the Pacifica. So thank you again for sharing your story, your background, sharing some of the trials that you went through, sharing your faith with us, and just to see the audience coming across from different parts of the world, and that's evidence of what we speak of tonight. So first of all, thank you, Lasso, for setting up this podcast. Always great for the different bright minds that you bring on, and also last to thank our audience. We cannot make this possible without your interaction and your support.
Nice.
So that's important to us that our viewers are acknowledged as well. So and then thank our Heavenly Father for being with us throughout this podcast, and we
Yeah,
can't end it without mentioning the good Lord above. So back to you,
yeah.
Les, or
Thank you.
Sada.
Masada, go ahead, Masada.
Me?
Yes. Any last words or comments that you'd like to leave before we
Oh,
close our podcast?
oh man. You. I think also Arlington has already shared what needs to be shared, but Nakawakalevu, and thank you for the opportunity to share a little bit of what I stand for, and also based here in Fiji and out into the Pacific, and not into the Pacific, but to the world. I
Mm,
think, as Arlington said, we are not just here for Polynesia or Melanesia, Micronesia. We're here for our other brothers and sisters out there in the world who need some of that poly flavor in their lives. Eh?
mm,
So this is us. I think that's what we are all about, to rejuvenate and bring back the mana and the lives of all the people in the world. But it all starts here in the hydrated areas of Oceania.
mm.
This is why we exist. We exist for everyone. Pinavolim. Thank
Thank you,
you.
brother. I our brother said it better than I could ever, and so I'm so grateful for both of you. Especially, thank you so much for taking the invitation. For all of you out there who are just tuning in, go back and watch our podcast. And there's so much coming out from our brother in Fiji. Can't wait to see what's in store for him and his future. And so,
Amen.
so grateful for that and the journey that he shared with us and the lessons that we've learned in through his life and his journey. And so, with that said, to God be all the glory, and to everybody out there, have a blessed night and good night, or have a wonderful afternoon or morning, whatever time zone you are in. Good night.
Naka.